This is really kind of calls back to what we started talking about earlier. Like if you were watching some of the earlier sessions in the career track, you might recall I mentioned that one of the questions on everybody's mind today is probably, how do I get my first job in security, right? We already had a really great talk on the first part of that question. It's like, how do you find the open positions that you want to apply for? But now we knew we wanted to also give you some good advice on the next part of that, which is once you've already found it, how do you actually convince employers that you're the person they want to hire? So our next speaker is Lesley Carhart. She's a principal threat analyst at Dragos, which is an industrial security company. In addition to her many security talents, she's also very well known inside the industry for her resume advice, whether it's, coming from her tweets, her blog, she's done lots of podcast interviews. And she's also done a lot of resume workshops and resume clinics at various information security conferences over the years. She's helped a lot of folks hone their resumes and navigate that process of applying for and getting their first security job. So I'm really pleased to have her here today to talk to you about that. Welcome, Lesley.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Okay, so all right. So hi, everybody. My name is Lesley Carhart. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, David. I really appreciate it. If you all haven't met me, what do I do professionally? Well, I work for a company called Dragos. And at that company, I am a principal digital forensics and incident response analyst. And I do that specifically on industrial control systems. But that's really not why I'm here today to talk to you. In the next slide, I'm going to talk to you about a number of things I am not. So let's start out with why I'm here talking to you about getting a job and writing your resume today. Well, first of all, I've been doing this for a long time, longer than I'd like to admit now. I've been in IT for well over 20 years, coming up to a quarter century now. I've been doing security for well over a decade. So I see a lot of resumes. I've hired a lot of people. I've worked as a SOC lead and I've run an incident response team at a very large corporation. So seen lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of cybersecurity resumes for the last decade or so. Hired a lot of people, to what a lot of people know, unfortunately. What else do I do besides that? Well, I run a conference called PancakesCon. I mentor a lot of junior people on various things. And I run a bunch of cybersecurity resume clinics. There is a wonderful GitHub from handle Miss Bat, which provides this wonderful framework for running your own resume clinics at cybersecurity conferences or IT conferences. And I've worked with her to run a number of these clinics. I've run a number on my own, and I've helped dozens and dozens and dozens of people with their resumes over the years. Now, can you hit the next slide, please? Thank you. What am I not? Well, I'm not an English major, unfortunately. I would have really loved to have been one. That would have been a wonderful career too, but that's not the way I went with my life. I am not also a certified professional resume editor. There's actually, can you believe it? There's actually certifications for that. That's a professional job. There's things like the CPRW. There are professional certifications, and this resume editing and editing professional hiring documents is an entire field. The people who do that they've studied that for an extended period of time. They are professionals at it, and I am not claiming to be one of those people. I've got to put that caveat in because my cousin is a professional editor, and I don't want her to murder me. What do I care about? Though, why would you want to hear from me as well as a professional editor, which you should have as a person who's trying to get a job or increase their career path in cybersecurity? Well, because the editors that are out there today can't necessarily tell you what hiring managers want to see on a resume. They can make them wonderfully formatted, very readable. They can correct spelling and grammar. They can help you deal with all kinds of problems that come up in general professional resumes, but they can't tell you what needs to be on your cybersecurity resume and why cybersecurity hiring managers or HR professionals at cybersecurity companies might be tossing your resume out. So that's why I run these clinics. It's not because I am going to fix every spelling error or stylistic error in your resume. It's because people are missing things on their resumes that are causing them to be filtered out as candidates. They are also being discarded by hiring managers who, like me, are probably reading 30 to 50 resumes at a time for a single position. And so I care about content and readability at scale for hiring managers. So making sure the right things are on your resumes and that somebody's going to see them in a quick and efficient and effective manner. I will say again, and I'm going to say this throughout this talk, you should be using a professional and certified resume editor as well. It's good to do both things. You should be both going to a professional editor, having them rewrite and edit your resume, and then you should be going to a hiring manager who's seen a lot of resumes in cybersecurity at something like one of my clinics or somebody else who's running a resume clinic at a conference. You should be going to one of those people as well, so that they can make sure that all the content is there and that everything that a cybersecurity hiring manager is actually present on the resume. Now, some caveats on this talk. So first of all, something that a lot of people aren't aware of. There are different types of resumes out there in the world. I am not going to talk about CVs, especially global CVs. There are many different formats for this document around the world, and they are very, very, very different, including content that is an absolute no-no and things that are expected on the resume. So when I'm talking about this today, I'm talking about United States and Canadian resumes for the most part. They're very different, and there might be some differences in what's expected to be on international resumes. US federal government resumes, also an entirely different format. If you are going to apply for a federal job, you should be seeing a resume editor who is an expert at writing federal government resumes. Completely different format, completely different requirements. All right. All right, so at this time, I would love for you all to go get your resume. I told you to do this in the hallway channel, but maybe you didn't see it. So I'm going to give you, we can play the Jeopardy song or something. Please go find your resume. It's going to help you a lot to get things out of this talk. You don't have to, you can just sit here and watch this, but if you have your resume to follow along, you're going to get a lot more out of the things I'm going to tell you now. We're going to walk through different sections of your resume and the content that should be present, as well as things I really do and really do not want to see on a resume. And so everybody's checking in that they got their resumes. Thank you very much, everyone. All right. All right, so we've done our little resume break. Hopefully you knew where the file was. Keep looking if you haven't found it. All right, so first of all, resumes have trends and fashions. So once again, I will go over the caveat that I am not a professional certified resume editor. Over the last 20 plus years that I have been in the technology business, resumes have changed drastically. What we put in various sections of the resumes, the way we title those sections, the introductions to resumes, the stylistic format, the margins, the spacing, the fonts, those have all changed. There are styles and fads in resumes. This is again why you need to be seeing a professional editor. So I'm not really going to talk about fads so much. I'm going to talk about content. Now, the first thing that we need to think about when we're writing our resume is that it's going to be filtered by both computers and humans. So there's multiple biases in play here too. So first of all, your resume is going to be eaten up by some HR application. So most jobs you apply for today, unless you're talking directly to a human at, say, a networking event or something, you're going to go to a website. You're going to make an account, you're going to upload a resume, you're going to fill out an application. That's pretty ubiquitous across many, many different fields right now. Now, what happens once your resume gets uploaded there? Well, there's usually some kind of automated filtering application on this, and it goes through your resume and it looks for keywords that are relevant to the job posting. If those keywords are not present in the resume, sometimes those systems are set to just toss out your resume and a human being never ever sees it. That happens at a lot of big companies because they deal with so many applications and haphazard applications by people who aren't qualified at all. So they could be looking for degrees, they could be looking for technical skills, operating systems, programming languages, scripting languages, security tools. They could be looking for certifications. So you've got to be cognizant of that, because especially in technical fields and in cybersecurity, there are a lot of ways to say things. So when you're talking about keyword filtering, you know, if you type out the name of your certification instead of the acronym and they're searching for the acronym, they might automatically discard your resume. So this is something we need to remain cognizant of throughout this talk as well. We're looking through our resume, is that the first line of filtering here is a computer that is not empathetic. It is not human. It is not the hiring manager. And then what happens after that? Well, usually there's some type of HR representative who looks at the pile of resumes, and they're doing the same kind of filtering. They're not cybersecurity professionals. They're looking for things that match the job posting. So they're looking for people who look qualified from an education and experience and certification and skill perspective. And they might not be really attuned to what's actually being said in the resume. So if you're not very precise, if you don't have the correct keywords there again, and you don't put things in a legible expected format, there's another layer where your resume can just be tossed out before it reaches a hiring manager. So that's really what's happening behind the scenes there, if you're not aware. So now, finally, just a caveat here is I'm going to talk about some biases that hiring managers, HR people, and even computer systems have about resumes and about candidates. These are not my biases. I hope they're not my biases, but they do exist and they're prevalent in the community. There's things like ageism, things like racism even out there. And granted, you probably don't want to work for organizations that have those problems, but they exist. And there are reasons why we do things on our resume in specific ways to avoid those biases. And so when I talk about those biases, please don't think that they are my opinions about candidates. They are not. I would love to see an incredibly diverse workforce. I think that that benefits us as a community, but we need to recognize when I'm talking about getting hired at other organizations that they're out there and they exist. Can you hit the next slide, please? Thank you. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about those computer filters and those HR systems that are going to eat your resume when you upload it. Okay, so this is a mistake that I see a lot of people make. And having received tons and tons of resumes through these HR systems over the years, I've seen this over and over again. Okay, so I said you're going to upload your resume and a computer is going to scan it for keywords, it's going to eat it. And then if it gets through HR, and in this hiring system, whatever vendor's hiring system it is, eventually it's going to get passed to me as a hiring manager. Now, how is it going to get passed to me or my boss or my team? Well, it's going to get passed to us through this automated system. And this automated system is going to process resumes in different ways. So oftentimes what that looks like is plain text conversion of the resume or conversion to a PDF. So whatever format, accepted format you uploaded, I'm not necessarily getting your original Word document or PDF for security reasons, as well as just